I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White didn't hold back after her team's narrow loss to the New York Liberty. Clearly frustrated, she voiced what many fans have been thinking. The referees may have missed the mark. The Fever lost by just 2 points, but White says it wasn't just bad luck. One big concern, a major free throw imbalance. Over the past few games, the Fever have taken 31 fewer free throws than their opponents. And in this latest matchup, a missed foul call on Caitlin Clark in the final seconds might have changed the result. White even raised questions about whether the refs are doing their jobs right. A bold move that's likely to get people talking. In this video, we'll walk through the key moments, highlight the most talked about calls, and break it all down. Was this just a tight game, or is there a bigger problem?
Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating. It's plain as day. The haters will say she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won.
The Indiana Fever went head-to-head with the defending champs in a game that had a real playoff feel. It was fast, physical, and packed with highlight moments. Aliyah Boston was a force, putting up 27 points and grabbing 13 rebounds. Lexi Hull also made a big impact in her first start of the season, scoring 15 and giving the team a much-needed boost. For a moment, Indiana looked like a serious title threat. But from the start, something didn't sit right. The Fever were aggressive, driving hard to the basket and playing through contact. Still, the whistles were mostly quiet. Despite the rough play, Indiana barely got to the free throw line, while the Liberty kept earning trips. The numbers tell the story. New York shot 32 free throws. Indiana got just 15. That's more than double. And in a close game like this, that kind of gap can be the difference between a win and a loss.
A 3 off target, batted a lot, bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense, goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
The Fever made a strong statement in the third quarter, completely turning the game around and outscoring the Liberty by 17 points. It was a dominant stretch that showed what this team can do when the calls are fair. Caitlin Clark battled through constant pressure, double teams, hard fouls, and tight defense. Even so, she ended the night with 18 points and 10 assists. She kept attacking the rim and taking hits, but got very few calls in her favor. Meanwhile, the Liberty were getting free throws for much less contact. It was a tough, gutsy performance by Indiana, one that deserved a more balanced whistle.
No pass shot possessions for New York. Clark, step back 3. Oh, she hit it and draws the foul. Welcome back, Caitlin Clark.
The Fever were up by 12 in the fourth quarter and looked ready to seal the win, but momentum shifted fast. The Liberty started to make a push, and a string of calls helped turn the tide. Jonquel Jones took over late, scoring 14 points in the final stretch. She kept attacking the basket and consistently got to the free throw line. But when the Fever made similar plays, they didn't get the same calls. New York was rewarded for their aggressiveness, while Indiana got little in return. It was hard not to notice the difference in officiating, and it clearly played a part in how the game ended.
Our third quarter was really, really good. Obviously, we won the quarter by 17 points. That's what put us in a position to have a chance to win. So essentially, we really played one good quarter of basketball and lost to the defending champions by 2. So I guess that's positive. A lot of ways to continue to get better.
By this point, it wasn't about talent. Indiana had already proven they could outplay the Liberty. What it came down to was fairness. The Fever brought the energy and skill of a championship team, but all night long, they faced uneven calls. And in a game this close, every whistle matters. With just 2.9 seconds left and Indiana down by 2, Caitlin Clark got the ball at the top of the key, ready for a shot to tie it up. But before she could move, Natasha Cloud made obvious contact multiple times. The replay shows it clearly. There was contact before, during, and after the play. It's the kind of foul that usually gets called without question. But this time, nothing. No whistle, no free throws, just silence. And with that, Indiana's shot at a hard-fought win slipped away, not because they were outplayed, but because the officials didn't make the call.
A 3 off target. Batted a lot. Bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense. Goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
The play made it clear Caitlin Clark was fouled. That should meant 2 free throws, 2 chances to tie the game, and maybe send it to overtime. But that moment never happened. No whistle, no call, and just like that, the Fever dropped to 2-2. It's a tough way for a game, and maybe even a season, to shift. Not because of a missed shot or a late turnover, but because the officials stayed silent when it mattered most.
The refs messed up 3 calls in the last 3 possessions of this game. First, DeWanna Bonner gets absolutely destroyed, no call.
And the missed foul on Caitlin Clark wasn't the only call that raised eyebrows in the final moments. Just 2 plays earlier, Dana Evans drove hard to the basket with a clear look at the rim. She went up strong and took a clear hit. The contact changed her shot, but again, no whistle, no call. Another missed opportunity. Then, not long after, the refs called a foul on Lexi Hull while she was guarding Sabrina Ionescu. The problem? Hull's defense was textbook. Hands straight up, feet planted, no contact. Still, the foul was called. In a game decided by just 2 points, these missed and questionable calls weren't just frustrating. They helped decide the outcome.
And then Sabrina Ionescu makes the contact.
Then came the final blow. Sabrina Ionescu drew a whistle on light contact, if there was any at all. Just seconds earlier, Dana Evans had taken a hard hit on a drive and got nothing. The difference in how those 2 plays were called was hard to ignore. Ionescu calmly knocked down both free throws, points that ultimately decided the game, and they came from a call that many would say should never have been made. Meanwhile, the Fever kept pushing, kept taking contact, and still didn't get the calls. This wasn't about one missed whistle, it was a pattern. And that pattern cost Indiana a game they earned the right to win.
And this is the worst one. There's 1 foul, there's 2 fouls. Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating, it's plain as day. The haters will say, she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York, and they still barely won.
3 crucial calls in the final moments, all went against the Fever, and each one helped swing the result. First, the missed foul on Dana Evans, which could put Indiana in front. Then, a questionable call on Lexi Hull that sent the Liberty to the line. And finally, the no call on Caitlin Clark's final drive, when she should have had a chance to tie the game. This is the sequence everyone's talking about. The officiating wasn't just uneven. It showed up at the worst time. In a game this tight, the players should decide the outcome, not the refs. The Fever earned that win. They played hard, smart basketball against the defending champs. What they didn't get was a fair finish. And in the end, that made all the difference.
Coach, you talked about the way that the game has been officiated for you guys. How did you see the foul that was not called, or a lack of foul, on the Bonner play, and then follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul?
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path. It is what it is. We have to be able to play through it. But at the same time, I feel like it's really disrespectful.
Stephanie White's frustration was clear. Coaches don't often show this much anger, but she had every reason to be upset. When she walked into the press conference, she already knew her team hadn't been treated fairly. There was no holding back. You could see the disappointment on her face even before she spoke.
The disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
Stephanie White didn't mince words. She spoke a truth that needed saying. In recent games, the Fever have taken 31 fewer free throws than their opponents. That's a huge difference. She made it clear this isn't about just one missed call. It's been a pattern working against Indiana for weeks. And when it comes to the no call on Clark in the final seconds, White called it what it was, a missed opportunity that could have changed everything.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim.
Stephanie White didn't stop there. She also criticized the WNBA system. She said teams are supposed to have a way to voice concerns and be heard, but she doesn't think it's working. In other words, she feels the league isn't really listening when teams speak up about poor officiating. The system, she says, is broken. This isn't just frustration. It's a coach standing up for her players, pushing back against unfair treatment that seems built into the system. White also pointed out how aggressively the Fever have been attacking the basket. We're attacking the rims, she said. Usually, that kind of play leads to more foul calls, but Indiana just isn't getting them.
Steph, given your perspective on the first 4 games, is that something you've already tried to be proactive with the league, or you'll reach out to them and let your feelings known?
Yeah, look, there's a system to making sure that we can send stuff in and communicate, our grievances, so to speak. I don't know that I ever feel like the system works. We're not looking for a change. We're just looking for consistency. I felt like the second half of Atlanta, at least at our place, was at least consistent, right? And that's the thing that we're looking for.